Today on Guitar Gear 1, we'll be reviewing a Heritage H-157. This is a facsimile of a Les Paul Custom from the Heritage Guitar Company out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. And this is an especially desirable model as it has the HRW hand-wound pickups. Let's take a look. We're going to begin with a close-up look at the guitar. There are a number of features that differentiate standard Les Paul models from customs. Some of the appointments you'll immediately notice between the two. You're traditionally always going to find gold hardware on customs. In this particular case as well, from Heritage, you have this inlaid diamond-shaped mother of pearl in the headstock. I think Heritage does an excellent job of their inlay work. I've seen plenty of Gibson guitars where the edges are completely rough on the inlay of, the Gibson logo. Mother of pearl looks fantastic, especially when you take the strings off and polish up the fingerboard. Steel wool in particular, these just scream out again. I have a second H-157 that has abalone inlays, and they're just top notch. So really just giving you a good look. Another big point is you're going to always find triple binding, as you'll see here on the customs, as opposed to single ply binding as you would on a standard. There's no poker chip on most of these. I've seen people install them. I don't know if that's an aftermarket thing. If you're not familiar, the poker chip, quote unquote, is simply the ring that goes around a pickup selector switch where it'll say, like, rhythm and treble. That's what that is. Really nice carve on this one. Nice rounded top. Dimensionally, these bodies are a bit bigger than a Gibson standard. We're going to be doing some comparison on that momentarily. And just to show you before we get started, this particular guitar does have coil taps as well. Let's show you the back. This guitar just, totally kills the tuxedo vibe thing. Black and white, nitro finish. It actually kind of reminds me of a piano in some ways. But very clean example, early 2000s on this one. Not much of a volute to speak of, right? There's a little bit, and you can certainly feel it with your fingers, but it's not a very defined notch as it can be on some other models. Okay, so that's kind of close up of the guitar. Let's play this thing. I mentioned at the beginning of this piece that this guitar is loaded with HRW pickups. So there's a Heritage employee named Rendell Wall. And Rendell began hand-winding PAF-style pickups that he named the HRWs. They sit about 8K in resistance, which would put them on the low end of, I guess what you call PAF territory. They're really expensive to try to get them used. In fact, I most recently saw a guy that was selling 2 HRWs and the tone controls. For whatever reason, he had the pots and caps. $675, don't you know? So when you're shopping for Heritage guitars, if you're doing that on the used market, always read what pickups are included. Generally speaking, these are released with Seymour Duncan 59s. I'm not actually entirely sure why that is, but you're going to see $3,000 Heritage guitars all day with 59 sets in them. Just to tell you this, I found this guitar for sale late one night. It had just been listed. I bought it within 3 minutes of finding the ad. Like literally, I just jumped on it. The price was too good, and there was no mention whatsoever of what the pickups were. You already know the punchline here. So I got the guitar in, pulled them out. Sure as shit, they were both HRWs. And another funny mention, which was also already revealed, I was playing this guitar for about 2 weeks, and one day I was spinning one of the volume pots, and I actually thought the shaft was bent on it because it was it just felt funny when I touched it, and I thought, shit, I'll probably have to replace that pot. But then I pulled a little more and realized this is a HRW-equipped coil split 157. I just happened to pick up for way too good of a price, so that was cool. One thing I forgot to mention on the overview that's really important to me, I will include some photos. You're probably already looking at them right now. But one of the biggest distinctions to me for the customs from Heritage is that they include a figured pickguard. Okay, so this is actually curly maple that's been bound in white and is this transparent black. And it looks very, very black from certain angles, but you'll definitely see that flame when it moves over. I found another 157 for sale that had more of like a charcoal colored pickguard that was the transparent. I got to get me one of them because like the figured guard with this layout is just too cool for school. Another point is these are extremely heavy guitars. Okay, I own two H-157s. I can't speak to all of them, but both of mine are at least 12 pounds or more. In fact, my other one is so heavy, I had strap locks, and the connecting pin that goes into the strap itself was actually routing out the strap pin on the guitar. It was like about to fail because of the weight of the instrument. So there's a little perspective. Now, the backs of these guitars are one-piece Honduran mahogany. That's important if you care about this kind of stuff. So basically, we've done a really good job of depleting the world of old-growth forests. We were running out of premium timber for very simple-to-follow reasons. So what is commonly being done now is companies are using facsimiles of existing kinds of woods. And so what I mean is, right now, a very acceptable substitute for Honduran mahogany, for example, is actually an African wood called sapele. So you're going to see some trickery in the industry. Another thing is you can run into funky materials that have been a substitute for ebony fingerboards. There's a product called Richlite. It's literally cutting board material. They make cutting boards out of it, and Gibson was putting Richlite fingerboards on their very expensive Les Paul Customs. So here we don't have that. As I did a little tiny bit of research to make this video, I was troubled by the fact that I can't find anything on new Heritage H-157s. I don't think they're making them. It looks like you can only get standard series Les Pauls, which would be their H-150, and some of their semi-hollow designs, but no more Les Paul Customs. Not sure what the hell that's about, but maybe these are about to be worth a little bit more. We'll see. So other than those kinds of things, I think we're about ready to play it. So these HRW pickups, again, they're a lower output PAF style pickup, but I like them for everything. And I mean everything. Jazz, blues, super heavy metal. You get this like doomy sludge thing that I think is really cool. So we're actually going to start with the Sun head. I think I'm going to start using this one more commonly for the clean stuff because it does have reverb unlike my Engel. But what I like about it so much, as opposed to using like my twin reverb, which would sound better than this probably, I can run both heads through this same cabinet. Okay, so you're going to hear it with vintage Celestion 30s from both heads, and hopefully that's a little bit more of a fair comparison to some extent for what you're hearing. So I'm just going to kind of do what we do, just kind of start playing some stuff, right? So we're going to start on the neck pickup, the neck HRW pickup with the coil knot splits. The sheer amount of low end that you get out of these. And again, I've actually been playing some active pickups recently that I really thought were translating that low end, but this one really, really does that too. So again, that's that neck pickup. I'm going to play some kind of jazzy seventh chords just for a moment to really bring out that low end one more time, and then we'll kind of move forward. So that's that. Let's go ahead and play some stuff on the middle position, I guess. You can hear both pickups at once. We'll do a little bit of bridge, and we'll get the hell out of the clean stuff. So here's both pickups, full on, no splits. And I don't know if you noticed, I rolled back the tone just a little bit on the bridge position pickup. If you are not using all four controls on your Les Paul, you are missing the point, I promise you. For kind of a blues section and classic rock section, we're going to be using a tube screamer. And the wildest thing about this guitar, at least to me, is that it just nails this classic rock tone. And I can't exactly explain to you what that is. It's probably where the mid-range sits. It's probably the balance, you know, the coils or whatever, but you'll see what I mean. So I'm going to go ahead and kick on this tube screamer, which is a little noisy with this vintage amp with no noise gate, but that's okay. So let's see what it sounds like. This is the the bridge position pickup we're starting with. It just sounds like an old record. Okay, it's not the vintage 30 speakers, which they don't hurt this, but it's the HRWs. I'm telling you, they just nail that tone. So let's play something a little bit bluesy, and then we'll play something with some really high gain. That kind of a deal. Okay, let's get nasty. So the last part of this video is as much about the pickups as it is about the guitar itself. Okay, so most of us for years and years have been using hot pickups through hot amps. And that's a great combo. And there's a lot of reasons to do that. It's guaranteed to work, but it's also guaranteed to sound like pretty much everything else. Okay, so some of us started looking around for other options. If you check out low resistance pickups, and again, these are about 8K, it backs off how much signal is being jammed through the amplifier, and it's not as powerful, but it retains a lot more of the characteristics of the individual notes in the guitar itself. Okay, so this angle amplifier, we have the gain at about 1 o'clock. The majority of the EQ is right about noon. And let's just show you what vintage style stuff sounds. Well, all right, okay, fun, and I got to mention this too. All right, it's true. Heritage guitars are still made in the original Gibson building on Parsons Street in Kalamazoo by the original guys from Gibson that bought the plant when they didn't want to relocate to Nashville. You can't read an ad for one of these guitars without reading the whole fucking backstory of the company. It is amazing that they're doing it. It really is. But it should just be common knowledge, I think. But, okay, so this is probably as close to a true time capsule guitar as you can buy right now without paying like $9 grand to Gibson or whatever. So what happens when you play modern high gain metal with a really vintage style guitar with super low output pickups? Well, I'm going to show you. It sustains for days. Kind of a Spinal Tap thing, you know, you go out and get a cup of coffee, but it really does. So I can hear woody characteristics. I get a lot of stuff that I don't necessarily get out of super high gain pickups. And I wanted you to see that because when I palm mute and pick through those notes, you get a lot of organic characteristic that could be lost on a regular higher gain pickup where you're just palm muting and you're not rolling down volume, you're not changing anything else. So that was full bore high gain distortion, just palm muted, and you get those characteristics back. And if you know me, I'm a pretty emotional player and I like a lot of dynamics. So I'm just going to kind of keep messing around with this a little bit so you can hear it. But that's the big point, the ability to have dynamics. My favorite blues players, at most, they're working the volume knob. That's it. Okay, so like you're really leaving the amp to do a ton of the work. So if you back off on your picking a little bit, everything completely dies down. You can bring down the house. Everybody, oh, you're whispering, they're listening. And then you can just roar it back up to full volume. That's what I love about these kinds of pickups. With these kinds of guitars in modern applications, you can be anybody that you want with a flick of the wrist. Okay? I don't know if they're really discontinuing these 157s. I don't know if Heritage is getting swallowed up. I don't know where the future of this is going. But if you come across a 157 on a good deal, I'd put it up against any Les Paul Custom. These are fantastic guitars. They're incredibly heavy guitars. But as far as I can tell, there's just really nothing like it. So stick around the channel. Keep coming on back. We're going to keep doing cool stuff. It's just going to get on better. Thank you for coming to Guitar Gear 1.